Miles mentally braced himself for the sheer amount of vaguely comprehensible technobabble that was sure to come as he keyed his communicator to Franklin. The call goes a few times before being rejected. He tries again and it's rejected even faster. He goes a third time wondering what the hell the nerd is up to, and it's accepted.
What?
Franklin roars into the device. Audio only.
The fuck are you doing?
Miles demands. The hell's with the hostility?
Me? What's going on?
A woman shouts, equally pissed off for being interrupted.
Oh, the hell do you say to get out of accusations of cock blocking?
Is the ship about to explode?
No.
Is someone about to die?
No.
Admiral on the horn?
No. I need to talk to you, though. Main conference room.
In an hour
Franklin says before a sigh of disappointment sounds out.
and a half.
He amends before closing the connection.
Thank God it was audio only.
Miles remarks before shoving his hands in his pockets and getting something to read while he waits. 2 hours later,
What took you so long?
Miles demands, when Franklin, freshly showered and in clean if rumpled clothing, slinks in.
Itchy called in her sister Nietzsche. Those bunnies know how to party. Now what do you need?
Sit down and try not to be smug.
Miles orders and Franklin chuckles as he leans over the back of a chair.
I'm fine. What's up?
We need to start training our team in axiom use. Yay, you're an obsessive adept and figuring out weirder and weirder tricks, but we all need some level of competence with it. This stuff's everywhere, and it's considered a sport to know how to kill a bitch from 100 paces unarmed.
Miles explains and Franklin runs a hand through his growing hair as he clearly fights down a smug grin. For God knows what reason the ginger had decided to start growing it out. Maybe he just wanted it to be good and long for when he started going gray, so he could do a proper Gandalf impersonation or something.
Not quite like that, but I gotcha. What are you most worried about? I'm obsessive about this shit, and I know it, so I consider the basics, the point you can fastball fireballs and punch through a tank.
Let's focus on detection and defense. I trust our team's got enough psycho instinct that we won't lack for killing tools.
Detection's a side effect. You get a feel for the axiom as you use it more and more. Defense is something else. There's a lot of things to protect yourself from, and a lot of ways to do it.
Oh yeah?
Dodging, deflecting, absorbing, redirecting, blocking, illusions so that they're aiming the wrong way to start with. There are options.
How about some kind of shield?
Those are sold on the open market and easily detected,
Franklin says before frowning.
unless
You have other options?
I've been brainstorming something. I've made a few prototypes already.
He says, patting his jeans a bit.
Here we go.
He says, pulling out what looks like a brass ring that he flicks towards Miles.
Try that. It won't help with detection, but it should work for some quick and dirty defense.
He says as Miles reaches up and catches it. It's a pair of flat Kutha wires that wrap around a tiny, nearly transparent crystal before forming the rest of the ring.
Is this Jehest?
Miles asked, referring to one of the more valuable minerals in the galaxy. They make up the 2.5K credit coins.
Yep. The Kutha bands gather and channel the axiom and Jehest crystals are already used in hard light tech. That little sucker should give you a dome for as long as you channel energy. If it works, this is my 5th try. I was called to give my girls some much-deserved attention before testing could begin in earnest.
What happened the previous times?
Miles asks as he puts the ring on his armrest rather than on his finger, in case it decides it doesn't like him.
I tried too hard. My first few had crystals way too big for it, and ended up denting the walls. Then, when I started using smaller crystal pieces, I was using more than one, and they set up 2 identical constructs. When they manifested into the same space at the same time, the axiom really didn't like that, and I got bounced halfway across the room. That one was my saying, "Fuck it," and going minimalistic.
Franklin says, and Miles nods before eyeing the ring.
What's the chance that it goes up like a bomb if I put it on my finger?
About as much as getting hit by lightning.
You throw Lightning Commander Smith.
Miles reminds him, and Franklin holds up his hand, and electricity sparks between his fingers and rides up like a living Tesla coil.
By which I mean, with axiom, nothing is truly certain. It's too much of an unknown that I'm poking from every direction I can with everything I can poke it with. I highly, highly doubt it'll bite you to put the ring on, but there's always a chance that things go fucky.
Okay. But how's this little hoop and rock any less detectable than a shield? From what I understand, it has all the same components in all likelihood.
Shields are constantly active for when a person senses trouble. You figure out the other person has a shield up, and you know it's go time. That, on the other hand, has no internal power source. You have to actively channel axiom through it. Or it's just a lump of metal and a rock, which means that until you use it, it's just a ring.
Split-second protection rather than constant. I getcha.
Not split second. If you keep your focus up, the shield stays up, and as you get good at it, you should be able to shape the shield too. Maybe even remake it into spiked axiom knuckles instead.
But if you lose focus, the shield goes down and you're meat.
Yep, but it's real subtle. They can look right at it in a weapons scan, and it'll be dismissed as cultural jewelry.
And I'm sold. Show me how it's done.
Miles says, and Franklin holds up his hand. A glowing disc appears.
No, as in with the ring.
The ring is how you do this without study and training. The Kutha gathers and focuses the axiom through the J-hest into a hard light projection, which can be shaped like anything if you've got the brain for it.
Franklin explains, and Miles puts the ring on with some trepidation.
Feels like it's crawling, like it's alive.
It may as well be. The energy going through it won't hurt you, but that's basically an active circuit. It just needs a final push to move through the J-hest. Will alone is enough when it's that ready to move.
And this can't be detected?
Dude, axiom is fucking everywhere. The amount, the density, and the quality fluctuates from 1 millimeter to the next. A Kutha coin stands out like a flare, and it takes 1 coin to make maybe 5 of those. Not to mention, Kutha is used all over the galaxy as jewelry. It is not at all weird looking for you to wear that. It's like having a bachelor ring, silver and zircon. That's the equivalent.
Okay, makes sense. So I just...
Miles begins before focusing, and he flinches away from a sudden appearance of light.
That's it exactly.
Franklin says, and Miles gives him an odd look before he glares at his clenched fist with ring. A solid disc of light the size of Frisbee appears an inch above his hand and just sits there.
How solid is this?
As solid as you make it. It's just a shortcut to small axiom constructs. You won't get anything bigger than maybe a trash can lid without a lot of training, but that's enough.
You made a fucking Green Lantern ring.
No, I fucking didn't. Have you read the comics? Those things do almost all the damn work and are a stupid, powerful supercomputer to boot. That sucker can't take you into space. That sucker can't be used for translation, communication, or hold information. It relies on how much you understand physics to make that barrier strong. If you just picture some little flat plane, it will shatter like a bitch. You need to understand how to make something strong from the molecule up to get the biggest bang for your buck.
Oh God, I gotta go back to class.
Oh no, kiddo, this is self-study with a pass-fail grade for when you use it to try and stop a shanking. Just look up and mentally picture a cutaway of metals and slap things like I-beams and hexagons and stuff to really bring it together. Construction, composition, and focus.
Yay, but...
Picture the structure of tungsten or, I don't know, titanium or a diamond or iron or anything really strong. Then picture how a beehive is put together and imagine that every little line is made out of an I-beam. Right there. It should be strong enough to block a tank shell.
Do you know that it works for a fact?
Stops lasers and plasma cold, shotgun slugs bounce off, and it can deflect a grenade, but the shockwave will still get you. I managed to project the shield to the outside of the ship during the micro-meteor shower last week, and even knocked one space rock into another. I can't really test it any further without doing something really, really stupid.
At least you still have that much sense.
Miles notes and barely registers Franklin flipping him off. The door opens and Chiria, one of the mech troopers, walks in and looks from one to the other, then smiles.
Am I interrupting anything, boys?
The snicked asks with a wide smile. Her mind is clearly in the gutter.
We're wrapping up. Bossman here just has about a week's worth of work for me to do on top of everything else. Speaking of, how often do you think this will be needed? Should I make a machine to do the work for me, or do you want custom work all the way through?
At least draw up blueprints for a machine if you won't make one yourself. If these shield rings work as well as hoped, then it's something we need to get to the rest of the EFL and the Dauntless.
All right, I'll Shanghai Victor into lending a hand. He knows a few tricks, and the Dauntless already has a copy of all my notes. I talk to them daily about my ideas, and they bounce a few off me in turn. They know about the ring, just not that you tested it now.
Franklin says before he grabs the top of his seat and hurls himself into the air, where he floats and calmly rights himself before touching the deck plating.
Excuse me, cutie pie.
He says to the mantis, who blushes before he leans in and kisses her on the cheek.
You're still flirty, but you've done the Rabbit Sisters.
She simpers and he grins.
That doesn't mean I can't appreciate beauty, he says.
Do you think you'll be able to spend some time tomorrow?
She asks and he kisses her full on the mouth.
I'll be there.
He says as she squirms due to the higher concentration of pheromones in his spit. He walks off and she follows him for a few steps, which causes the automatic door to close behind her.
Oh my God, these aliens.
Miles says to himself before chuckling.
First contact is official. We made a hell of a first impression even if the ship hit the ground like a tin can and the big, open the door and reveal the army bit was botched. The marching stomp saved it though. But is it enough? We've got some foxes in the hen house, but we don't know how many of them are actually hens and not, what are they called? Emus? Capybaras? Those stupid deadly shanker birds from Australia? We know these girls can hack into a system like it's not even there. Nothing electronic is safe. They've got spies that can shapeshift if they're not invisible by default. They've been at this for hundreds if not thousands of years and have what is effectively magic on their side as well. We have surprise, willpower, and focus. Is it enough?
He asks himself before snapping his fingers.
Cassowary. Yay, modern freaking dinosaurs, they'll gut you good. How do I should, damn it. I'm just a jumped up grunt. I can't do anything but my best here on this ship. I need to practice my aim.
Miles says to himself before walking out of his room and pulling out a 1 credit coin. Time to give his baby a workout and then talk to Agenda. She mentions something about easy credits.